Oxygen levels seem normal. Nothing out of the ordinary here. Hey, welcome to Friday How to Play with Salomé. I'm Salomé Martinez. Have you ever wanted to lead a squad of elite Marines into a sci-fi facility full of secrets, aliens, and oxygen problems? Well, now you can. Nemesis Retaliation. Designed by Adam Kopinski and published by Awakened Realms. It's for 1 to 5 players, runs 2 to 3 hours, and delivers tension, betrayal, and unforgettable stories. Think you've got what it takes to survive the mission and complete your objective before the alien queen shows up for dinner? Well, there's only one way to find out. Come have a seat with me at the table, and I'll teach you how to play Nemesis Retaliation. To take on this strategic suspense-filled adventure, we'll need to begin at square one, the setup. Let's gear up. Begin by building the facility board using the 3-section border pieces and the 3-round track border pieces. Place the universal marker on the top spot of the objective choice section. Place the round marker on round 1. Drop the lander token on round 10. And place the auto-destruct token on its corresponding spot. Shuffle your corridor tiles and place them near the board, and select 3 at random, 1 at a time, and connect them to the landing zone. If any of them have a door slot, have the slot side face the landing zone. In future turns, when adding corridors with door slots, the slot should always face the newly placed room. Place 4 tokens each of ammo, grenades, oxygen, and med packs next to the landing zone to form a shared tactical gear supply. Then sort your room tiles by letter. Shuffle each stack and place them nearby. Now shuffle the exploration deck and place it face down here next to the board, leaving enough space for a discard pile. Take the undiscovered hibernatorium tile and place it on top of the hibernatorium room. Then, assemble and place the robot model in the hibernatorium room. Place all 3 life support tokens here, with their inactive side facing up. Do the same for the hibernatorium token, and place it here. Now, shuffle and stack face down both anti-aircraft tokens and place them here. Next, randomly select a robot card and place it face down on the board here. The remaining cards should be put back unseen in the box. Next to the robot card, you'll place 1 ammo token on its full side up and 1 oxygen token. Place 5 egg tokens here. Then shuffle the Queen's health cards and place them number side down here on the Queen's health card space. Place a universal marker here on the 0 space of the Queen's hit track. Then you'll take the Intruder help sheet and place it with the Queen is alive side up here. Now sort out and shuffle all the Intruder tokens by type and create piles for each type with their icon face up. Take the Intruder bag and place 1 blank token, 2 larva tokens, and 3 random adult tokens, plus 1 additional random token for each player in the game. We're setting up for a 3-player game, so I'll add 3 more. Keep the insert with all the Intruder models nearby. Believe me, they will definitely be used. Take the Intruder Attack deck, the Event deck, the red, green, and yellow item decks, the Contamination deck, and the Serious Wound deck. Shuffle each deck separately and place them on the right side of the facility board to look something like this. Next, grab the insert with all of the markers and tokens that we'll need for the game and place it here, along with the scanner and any remaining tokens and the dice. Now, take the objective cards and divide them into 2 decks, private and mission. You'll also take the mission task deck and the help cards, and from each deck, you're going to remove any number that's higher than your player count. If we're playing with the 3-player game, I'll remove 4 and 5 from them. And you'll do the same for all the other decks. Place each deck face down off to the side of the facility board. And finally, shuffle and draw 1 random mission task card and place it here, face up. The rest of the cards can be put back into the box. We have completed the general game setup. You could have this part of the game preset before other players arrive, but for this next part of the setup, you'll need all the players present. Now, grab and shuffle the help cards and deal out 1 card each to each player and have them reveal their cards. Looks like I'll be first. The number you received will help set the draft order for the character selections, and it'll also help in determining some objectives during the game. Now, shuffle and deal 1 private objective card to each player. Then shuffle and deal 1 mission objective card to each player. These are secret. Do not reveal them until the end of the game. One aligns with your personal goal, something selfish, ambitious, or shady. The other supports the group's overall mission task. You'll choose between the 2 objectives later in the game. Now take and shuffle the character draft cards and deal 2 cards to the first player with the number 1. They'll look at them and secretly choose 1. The other goes back into the deck without being revealed. Then reshuffle all the cards, and player number 2 receives 2 cards and picks 1 and keeps it face up, and you'll repeat this till everyone has chosen their character. Any character cards not drafted are placed back into the box. Now, let's gear up your board like a proper action hero. Take your character board and place it in front of you. This board is your dashboard for survival. It tracks your health, your oxygen, gear, and actions, and all of the good stuff that you need. Now, grab your character tile, the one that matches the Marine you picked, and slot it right into your board. Place a universal marker on the leftmost spot of your health track. This tracks how many hits you can take before it's lights out. Set your oxygen dial to 7. That's full capacity. You'll burn through it quick, so savor that sweet air while you can. Now take your character miniature and pop it into the colored ring that matches your player color, and place it proudly in the landing zone. This is where your story begins. Grab the backpack holder that matches your player number and set it just above your character board. Take all 10 action cards of your character. Each Marine has a custom deck. Shuffle them and place them to the left of your board. Leave room on the right side for your discard pile. Now for your character item. This is a specialized piece of gear that's just for you. If it's a heavy item, place it in one of your hand slots found at the top of your board. If it's armor, place it in the heavily injured section of your health track. If your item has ammo slots, load it up with ammo tokens full side up. The contractor starts with 2 character items instead of 1. Lucky. Now it's time to grab your support gear, unless you're the contractor, in which case you can sit this one out. Here's how the draft works. We're going to shuffle the support equipment deck. We're going to draw 7 cards and lay them out face up. And starting with the highest player number and going backwards, each player picks 1 card to keep. These can be extra weapons, armor, or helpful tools. Equip the chosen item the same way you did your character items. If your item has any tactical gear slots, fill them from the insert pool with the matching tactical gear tokens. Gear tokens must match the color of the slot unless it's gray. Gray slots are wild slots. You can place any color token there. Discard the leftover support equipment cards from the draft. These won't be used in the game. However, keep the supporting equipment deck near the item decks. They might be used during the game. Now, let's fill your tactical belt. Each player picks 4 tactical gear tokens in any combo they want and places them in their tactical gear slots along the side of their character board. It is recommended to start with 1 of each, especially if it's your first game. Now, draw your starting hand of 5 action cards. Then, give the first player marker to player number 1. And we're done. It's time to breach the facility. In Nemesis Retaliation, the object of the game is simple: survive. And check all the boxes before time runs out or the facility is destroyed. To win, you'll need to escape either by lander, escape shuttle, or by locking yourself into a hibernation pod. Complete 1 objective, either your personal goal or your mission-linked one. And finally, pass the infection check at the end of the game. All who survive and meet all 3 win. Before we get into the thick of it, let's meet the reason your stress levels will spike. The Intruders. Intruders are a mysterious alien species, aggressive, clever, and definitely not friendly. While humanity knows little about them, you'll be getting very up close and personal soon enough. There are 4 types of intruders. Let's start with the biggest and move down to the smallest. The Queen. There's only one, and she's as terrifying as she looks. Next, we have drones. Rare, but stronger than your average intruder. Adults. The standard type you'll encounter most often. And finally, larvae. The least deadly at first glance, but they bring their own brand of trouble. Intruders can be placed in both rooms and corridors. Rooms can hold as many as needed, but corridors are more limited. Only 6 intruders max in any corridor, and the Queen counts as 4. Keep in mind, intruder models are limited. If the game asks you to place more than what's available, just place as many as you can and ignore the rest. Things are already bad enough. Now that you know what's lurking in the dark, let's talk about where they'll be lurking. Rooms are the core layout of the facility, and this is where your character moves, explores, search, and inevitably panic. There are 2 types of rooms. Section rooms, they're labeled ABC, and they're always part of the facility, and we have random rooms marked with the question mark. These are shuffled in and may or may not appear in your game. Each room tile includes a name, an effect, an items icon, and a computer icon. Indicates a server connection. Its main benefit is to use the robot. Oh yeah, there's a robot in the game. The room type and ID number. This number is used in tiebreakers and special icons. These icons means the rooms can't be secured, so no secure tokens here. This one means the room can't be broken, so no malfunction markers allowed. In short, rooms tell you what you can do and what you can find and whether you'll be safe doing it. And these are corridors. They connect rooms and are how characters move around the facility. Intruders use corridors to move between rooms. Each corridor has a few key features. You got the noise roll value, tells you where to place your noise marker during your noise roll, or the extra noise value used only in deadly mode. And we can ignore this because we will be setting up a base game. Door slots. These start with door opens, but certain effects can close them by placing a door token on the slot. This blocks movement or actions. Doors can be destroyed by both intruders or characters, usually via an action card or effect. Just lay the door token flat to represent it's destroyed. ID number helps to break ties when figuring out which path an intruder takes. Even if an intruder or door is present, a corridor is always considered adjacent to the room it's connected to. Some corridors sit between two sections. They count as part of both. Corridors can hold up to 6 intruders total. Remember, the queen counts as 4. Or they hold a single noise marker. If an intruder enters a corridor with a noise marker, the noise is discarded. Intruders don't need a warning. Also, you never place a noise marker in a corridor that already has an intruder in it. This would be considered an empty corridor when intruders are not present. Noise doesn't count. And this would be considered an unexplored corridor. Only connects to one room. Seems pretty suspicious to me. Now that you know who and what you're dealing with, and the layout of their hunting grounds, it's time to learn how to survive it all. The game is played over a series of rounds. Each round is divided into 4 phases: player phase, intruder phase, event phase, and cleanup phase. Let's take a closer look at each phase. In the player phase, each player, starting with the first player and continuing clockwise, takes a turn performing up to 2 actions on their turn. After their turn, the next player goes, and this continues round the table. When it's your turn again, you can either take another turn with up to 2 more actions or choose to pass. Once a player passes, they are done for the rest of the round and will no longer take actions. The player phase ends only when all players have passed. When performing your 2 actions on your turn, you can choose from a list of basic options that you'll find on your character card. Each action has a cost, usually paid by discarding action cards from your hand. Let's go over all the actions you can perform in this phase so you know exactly what you can do on your turn. You can play an action card. This doesn't cost you anything. This is when you play a card from your hand for its effect. The text on the card tells you what happens. You simply read the card and resolve its effect and place it in your discard pile. You start each round with 5 cards, and as you take turns, you'll have fewer options, and once you run out, you'll be forced to pass, which happens to be the next action you can take. And again, this doesn't cost you anything. If you have no more cards or choose to stop acting for the round, you may pass. This is not done automatically. The pass action must still be performed, which sometimes you might be forced to wait till your next turn if you have already performed 2 actions. If you pass, you may discard any number of cards from your hand. Once you do, you're done for the rest of the round. You won't take any more turns until the next round begins. Though you can still use some action cards that have a reaction effect. They're used in response to specific situations. When the condition on the card is met, you can play it immediately, even outside your turn. Just read the effect, resolve it, and discard the card. Only cards that have a reaction effect work this way, and only when the timing fits, so keep them handy. The next action you can take is movement. To move, you'll just discard 1 card and choose an adjacent corridor or room to enter. You can either move directly into a room that's already revealed or enter an unrevealed room, which begins the exploration sequence. After you move, you must perform a noise roll. Let's take a look at how your character gets from point A to point. Please don't be an intruder. To move, your character always goes from one room to another. You'll never place your character in a corridor. To start your movement sequence, choose a direction and pick an adjacent corridor leading to the room you want to enter. If there are intruders in your current room or in the corridor you want to move through, you'll resolve opportunity attacks. Up to 3 times max, starting with the biggest intruder. I'll go over how intruder attacks works a little later. let's just say they won't be giving you a hug. Then perform a noise roll. Placing a secure token and moving cautiously are also actions you can take during your turn. Don't worry, soldier, we'll break those down soon enough. There might be times where an effect might allow your character to go from one room to a specific room regardless of distance. You'll do the same as we just did, except for choosing your direction, but everything else stays the same. If the room you're entering hasn't been revealed yet, you'll need to explore as part of your move, which triggers the exploration sequence. To do that, you'll draw an exploration card. Then you'll make sure that the card is facing in the right direction by matching the north icon on the upper corner, matching the icon that's on the facility board. Then you'll draw a random room tile of the room type that's shown on the card. If none of a specific room type are left, then you'll draw a mystery room tile instead. Now add corridor tiles around the new room as shown on the card. Only place corridors that lead to empty spaces that are not outside the board or that would connect into an existing room. If a corridor shows a door slot, place it so that the door slot connects with the new room. Then add any markers and tokens shown on the card, like noise, fire, or malfunction markers. Skip any noise markers if there's already one in a corridor. Next, you'll move your character into the room. If you moved cautiously, place a secure token there. Now resolve any entrance effects found at the bottom of the exploration card. Then you'll discard the exploration card, unless the effect says otherwise. If the exploration deck ever runs out, reshuffle all the discarded cards only. Do not add any that were taken out of the game and create a new draw pile. Let's ignore this insider icon. It's not used for the base game. Then you will take a noise roll. Remember, immediately after every movement taken, whether the room was revealed or not, you must roll the noise die. If you had to perform a noise roll as an entrance effect, you'll discard the exploration card, and that'll end the action. Then continue with the rest of your turn. You do not perform another noise roll immediately after the entrance effect. When you roll the noise die, you will resolve effects depending on the die result. If you roll a 1 through a 4, find all the corridors connected to the room you're currently in that match the number you rolled and resolve the following in this order. If the corridor has at least one intruder, the largest one moves into your room and would trigger an attack. If there's a noise marker there, intruders appear in the corridor and you'll resolve it using the intruder bag. Here's what you do. You remove the noise marker, then draw a random intruder token from the bag. Use the intruder help sheet to handle what kind of threat you're dealing with. Well, in this case, we will use the resolve in a corridor section of the help sheet. Check the back of the token. The number tells you how many adult intruders show up. And if it was a red number, that shows you how many drones you'll have to place. Once you're done placing the intruders on the corridor, discard the token back into the intruder pile, unless the rules say to keep it. And if you draw the blank token, no intruders this time. If the corridor has no noise markers, just place one in that corridor. And if there are no corridors matching the number you rolled, nothing happens. If you roll the hazard symbol, something drops from above. Draw a token from the intruder bag and spawn the intruder shown on the icon. Ignore the number on the back, then discard the token. If an effect would cause more intruders to move into or be placed in a corridor than it can hold, follow this procedure. Move or place as many intruders as possible, prioritizing larger ones first. If necessary, larger intruders may swap positions with smaller ones to make space. These swaps do not trigger attacks. If there still isn't enough room, any remaining intruders that couldn't be placed or moved are simply left where they are. Rooms, on the other hand, have no such limit. Multiple intruders may occupy the same room without reaction. Lastly, intruder miniatures are a limited component. If you are ever instructed to place more than are available, place as many as you can and ignore the rest. Placing a secure token is another one of the actions you can take by spending an action card. Secure tokens help protect you from intruder attacks. They can be placed in rooms you're currently in, up to 3 per room, but never in a room with an intruder already inside. Some rooms can't be secured, like the nest, while others, like the shelter, are always secured. If an intruder enters a room with at least one character and a secure token, the intruder attack is blocked and you discard one secure token from the room, and no damage is taken. But secure tokens don't help against intruders that are already in the room. Now, I know it seems like we are getting attacked by intruders during most of our actions, but the good news is that these next actions let us fight back and put those monsters in their place. You can, for one action, fire a shot in a room. Pick a working ranged weapon, one that has no malfunction markers on it. Basically, these markers let you know that something is broken and unusable. We'll go over in more detail about them later. And also make sure the weapon has at least one ammo token, even if it's not full. You can only shoot intruders that are in the same room as you, so choose which intruder you'd like to shoot at. Now, deal them one hit by placing a universal marker next to the intruder. Then, you'll roll the shoot die and resolve the result to determine if the intruder dies. If you roll the critical hit symbol, the intruder is gone. Boom, back to the pool. If you roll a number, compare it to how many hits the intruder has. If the number is equal to or less, it dies. If you roll the ammo symbol, you've wasted too many shots. You'll have to spend 1 ammo. Each ammo token can be spent twice. If it's full and you spend it, flip it to its half spent side. If it's already flipped to its half spent side and you have to spend it, you discard it instead. The next action you can take is fire burst at a corridor. Sometimes, when intruders are packed into a corridor like it's rush hour, it's time to stop aiming carefully and just burst fire. It costs 1 action card and it burns through ammo, but when done right, it's absolutely worth it. You can only burst an intruders in an adjacent corridor, and only if you're using a working loaded ranged weapon with no malfunction markers on it, and at least 1 ammo token. Now, you'll pick an adjacent corridor full of trouble, spend 1 ammo, and roll the burst die. The number you roll is the number of hits you apply. Distribute the hits in the corridor however you want, following these rules. 1 hit takes out an adult or a larva. 2 hits are needed to kill a drone. The queen can take as many hits as you got, up to her track maximum. Any unused hits are lost, so use them wisely. Finally, remove any intruders that were killed, placing them back into the insert. And update the queen's health if she was hit. If you roll this symbol, check your cards for any additional effects. Some have bonus abilities that trigger. If not, it has no effect, but you still use the 4. If you do have this symbol, you get to take any additional effects, plus you get to keep the 4. The queen's health system is unique and is managed using a separate queen health deck, making her much harder to bring down. Instead of regular wounds, every hit you deal to her advances her marker on the queen's hit track. Once that marker hits the end, you draw a queen health card and resolve it. You'll discard the number of queen health cards shown on the card face down and resolve the effect that's at the bottom of the card. After that, you'll discard the drawn card and reset the hit marker to 0. You'll repeat this process until the last queen health card is discarded. Only then is the queen officially dead. You'll remove her from the board and breathe slightly easier. From that moment on, she can't return to the facility, and you'll flip the intruder help sheet over. Melee attacks is the next action you can perform, and it costs 1 action card. You can only melee attack an intruder in the same room, and usually this is your I've got no better option move. First, you'll gain 1 contamination card. These cards represent the dangerous after effects of close encounters with the intruders. You'll add them to your action discard pile. They look like action cards, but they can't be used to pay for actions, so they clog up your deck. And even worse, they increase your risk of infection. At certain points, you may be told to scan a contamination card. If it shows infected, you place a larva on your character board. Having a larva doesn't hurt you immediately, but it raises the chances of you dying during the endgame infection check. You can remove it by visiting the surgery room, so act fast if you suspect you're infected. After drawing a contamination card and adding it to your action card discard pile, you'll choose a target. Pick any intruder in your room, deal 1 hit by placing a universal marker next to the intruder. Then, roll the shoot die. If you roll a critical hit, it's gone. If you roll a number equal to or less than the hits that are on it, it dies. If you roll a miss symbol, nothing happens. Here's the scary part of the melee attack action. If the intruder survives, it retaliates. You can choose to prevent the attack by placing a malfunction marker on one of your weapons. But that weapon's already malfunctioning, it's destroyed. If you don't prevent it, you'll resolve an intruder attack. Remember, malfunction markers while on components make it unusable. These markers can show up in rooms, heavy items, or robot cards. Some effects let you discard malfunction markers from your current room or from items and robots in that room. And if you ever need to place one and none are left, place a fire marker in the room instead, because apparently when it can't break, it just catches on fire. The next action you can take is the use an item action. To take this action, you'll discard 1 action card and resolve the effect that's on the card. Items in Nemesis Retaliation come in all shapes and sizes, and in levels of life-saving usefulness. Each character starts with their own character items, and some also get to take a support equipment card. Throughout the game, you'll pick regular items, and most of them need to be used with the use an item basic action. But some items have passive effects, meaning they trigger automatically when the timing is right. You don't actively use them, they just do their thing. Most items also have traits listed right below their name. For instance, heavy. These items go in one of your hand slots. All characters have 2 hand slots, and heavy items take up 1 full slot each. If a heavy item ever gets a malfunction marker, it's basically toast. You can't use it for its actions. You can't shoot or burst with it, and it's treated like it has no text or icons at all. It's just heavy. I mean, you can still use any tactical gear tokens on malfunctioning items. And remember, if a second malfunction marker would be placed on that item, it's destroyed. You discard it immediately. The next item trait is armor. These items often provide a passive bonus and are marked at the top of the card. Next are ranged or melee weapons. These labels don't do anything by themselves, but some effects or actions reference them. 1 use only. These do what they say. Use it once, then it's gone. And finally, there's requires no ammo. These special weapons, they don't need ammo to shoot. And for actions that do require ammo, these count as always having one. That's right. You basically got the rechargeable battery of alien blasters. So, you've used your gear, patched yourself up, and maybe even torched an alien. But what if I told you there's a helpful metal friend waiting to assist? While exploring the facility, you might connect to the hibernatorium. And when you do, you'll reveal the robot card. which has been face down since setup. There are 6 different types of robot cards, but only one will appear in a given game. The robot doesn't do anything on its own. It only acts when you activate it. Intruders completely ignore the robot. Apparently, they don't care for the metal. To activate the robot, discard 1 action card while standing in the same room as the robot, or you can do it remotely from a room with the computer symbol on it by discarding 1 additional action card. If you gained a data token from the server room, you can skip that extra card when activating remotely. Just tap into the system like a pro. If something breaks the robot, a malfunction marker is placed on the robot card. When that happens, the robot can't take any actions. It's basically a fancy toolbox on wheels. If you're in the same room with a malfunctioning robot, you can still use its tactical gears during certain effects and actions. If a malfunction marker would be placed on the robot and it already has one, just ignore it. The robot doesn't move on its own. It isn't a sci-fi buddy comedy. If you want it somewhere, you have to move it using player actions. It moves from room to room, just like a character. It ignores intruders, even the ones hanging out in corridors, but it can't go through closed doors. It also can't explore new rooms, so no sending it into unknowns while you just hang back and sip on oxygen. Well, unless you're using the exploration robot. That's one special robot. It can explore and even make noise rolls like a real team member. The robot comes with its own tactical gear slots, starting with 1 ammo and 1 oxygen token. If you're in the same room, you can use the use tactical gear action to access those tokens. You can even move gear tokens between your character and the robot. Let's talk about the use tactical gear action next. When you use this action, you'll discard 1 action card, and you can use any number of your tactical gear tokens. Apply their effect, and then discard them. Ammo tokens are the exception. Those don't get discarded. Instead, you move them onto your weapon as its effect. You can also rearrange your gear, moving tokens between tactical gear slots however you like during this action. When you gain new tokens, you place them into empty slots that match their color. Gray slots are universal. Any type of token can go there. Let's break down each tactical token and how they work, because these little tokens might just save your life. These are ammo tokens, and they're double-sided. Remember, full on one side, half full on the other. You cannot swap ammo tokens between your weapons. Once it's loaded, it's locked in. And these are oxygen tokens. When you use one of these, you gain 3 oxygen. Just move the oxygen marker on your board up. But remember, you can never go past 7. That is your max. These are medpack tokens. When you use one of these, you heal 2 health. And finally, these are grenade tokens. These are perfect for cleaning out crowded corridors. Here's how they work. Choose an adjacent corridor, roll the burst die, and add 2 to the result. That's how many hits you deal in that corridor. If you roll this symbol, unfortunately, nothing happens. No weapon effect applies here. Just pure loud and glorious boom. And don't worry, this doesn't count as a burst action, so you don't flip your ammo token, okay? Your gun's not involved, just your throwing arm. It's a grenade. And if your gear's getting in the way, you can discard any item or tactical tokens at any time. Tokens go back to the supply and items go to their discard pile. Most actions and items affect only your own character, and most of the time you can't interact with other players' items. However, if you're in the same room and they allow it, you can use certain items on another character, only if the item has one of the following effects: restoring, discarding serious wounds, discarding a malfunction marker, gaining oxygen. For all of their effects, you need to trade the item in order for you to use it. Which leads us to our next action, trade. When you take the trade action, you'll discard 1 action card and everyone in your room can join in, as long as there's mutual consent. You can reveal and exchange items or tactical gear tokens with other players. You can even go full barter mode with three-way trades as long as it all goes through the active player. And yes, you're also allowed to give something away for free, whether it's generosity or strategy. Entirely up to you. So if someone's low on oxygen and you've got two, maybe now's the time to make a deal or a best friend. Now these next two action will cost you 2 action cards each, so choose wisely because discarding that second card always stings a little. To take the use the room action, you discard 2 cards and resolve the room's effect. Each room does something different. For instance, the escape shuttle room. This is one of the ways to leave the facility. When you try to use it, you must roll for noise as part of the room's effect. But here's the twist. If that roll results in an intruder appearing in the room, your escape fails and you stay put. If the coast is clear, you're out. The character flies off the map and takes no further part in the game until the final endgame check. Check the room help sheet for a full breakdown of what all the other rooms can do. If a room has a malfunction marker on it, its room action is completely unavailable. No workaround, no exceptions. However, the items icon in that room still functions normally, so while the room is broken, it's not completely useless. Each room can hold only one malfunction marker. If another one were to be placed there, just ignore it, even if you're out of markers. And the final action you can take is the move cautiously action. Moving cautiously works just like a regular move, but with the bonus of placing a secure token in the room you enter. You get all that control for just one action. Of course, it costs 2 action cards to do, but hey, you still got one more action left to use this turn. You'll find a list of all the actions you can take during your turn on your character board. Some actions in the game are marked with this symbol, and these can only be performed when your character is not engaged in combat. A character is considered to be in combat if there's even a single intruder in the same room. So, if you're sharing space with something toothy and hostile, you're in combat. Some effects let you make another character perform an action. You are Marines after all, so order and commands are part of the military life. You choose the character, the action, and who its target might be. And even characters who already passed can still be ordered around. For example, if you make a character burst, you decide which corridor they're blasting. There are, however, command restrictions. You can't force a character to do something that would provoke an intruder opportunity attack. So, no sending your buddy running through an alien-infested corridor just because you don't want to go in yourself. If an action, item, or room effect can't be fully resolved, you can't choose it. For example, duck and cover requires you to discard an extra action card. If you don't have enough cards, then no ducking and definitely no covering. And if a card gives you options, well, pick one you can actually pull off during your turn. You may choose your objective either before or after one of your 2 actions, but not during an action itself. This choice isn't considered an action and can only be made once per game while you still hold both objective cards. To choose, secretly remove one of your objective cards from the game and keep the other. That remaining objective becomes your win condition. No takebacks. Once you've chosen, move the marker on the objective choice track down by 1 if possible. Then draw action cards based on the track. The first player to choose draws 3 cards. The second and third draw 2 cards. Fourth and fifth draw only 1 card. So the sooner you commit to your mission, the more you'll have to work with. Choose wisely, your victory depends on it. And once you've taken both actions, you move on to the next step in the player phase, oxygen loss, aka the part where the facility politely reminds you it's trying to kill you. Even though there's oxygen in the facility, it's completely contaminated, unless the life support system in your section is active. You can't breathe it in safely. At the end of every turn, even if you've passed, if you're in a section with an inactive life support, you lose 1 oxygen. Now, staying in a section with active life support won't give you more oxygen, it just stops you from losing it. If you want to refill your supply, you'll need to find specific items or tokens that restore it. Some effects or actions may also cost oxygen. You'll rotate your oxygen dial down to spend it. But if that would drop you below 0, you can't take the action. Passing out in the middle of a laser shot is not ideal. And if your oxygen ever reaches this symbol, you gain a suffocating token. You reset your dial back to 0 and follow the token's instructions, which basically says you've got one more turn to find air, or you're done. And now, the third and final step in the player phase, fire damage. If you end your turn in a room with a fire marker, you take 1 damage. Whenever you gain or lose health, simply slide your marker left for damage, right to heal on your character board. Each character has a health track with 3 states: healthy, injured, heavily injured. Your current state is determined by where your health marker sits. While these states don't directly change gameplay, they do matter, especially when intruders attack. Some attacks hit harder depending on how banged up you are. When you gain an armor item, marked with the armor keyword, place it directly on the heavily injured section of your track. Only 1 suit of armor can be worn at a time. If you pick up new armor while already suited up, you can choose to toss the old one to equip the new. You can't store armor in your backpack. Your backpack can only hold an unlimited amount of regular items only. If your health marker would move into a section with armor, the armor takes the hit and is discarded. Any remaining damage still applies. If you're already in the heavily injured section, when you find armor, it's no good to you. Discard it. If your health marker hits the skull icon, that's it, you die. Fires are a common sight in destroyed facilities. And just like everything else in here, they're bad news for you and the intruders. A fire marker represents a burning room. Each room can only have 1 fire marker. If the game tells you to place another in the same room, just ignore it. Fires can spread through events. When that happens, you'll place fire markers in neighboring rooms as instructed by the event card. But here's the real danger. If the game tries to place a fire marker and there aren't any left in the supply, the facility is completely engulfed and the game ends. Yep, burned to the ground just like that. Don't worry, closed doors do block fire from spreading, so a sealed door can literally save a room. Now it's time for the intruder phase, when the monsters get their turn. The intruder phase is split into 2 steps. Step 1, Intruders Burn. Every intruder standing in a room with fire takes 1 hit. If fire is in the nest, 1 egg is destroyed. Now, these aren't critical hits. No dice are rolled, so intruders can't die from this alone. You'll just add a universal marker near each of the intruders who are in the room, similar to a melee attack. Except for larvae. They're tiny and flammable, so they get destroyed. Now we move on to step 2, Intruder Attacks. Each intruder in a room with the character attacks. To do that, you'll draw an Intruder Attack card. Find the icon that matches the intruder type, then resolve the effect next to it. Once it's resolved, discard the card. If an intruder enters a room with more than 1 player, and someone clearly triggered it, they're the ones getting attacked. Otherwise, it goes to the character first in turn order. If there are multiple intruders in one room, start with the biggest and work down. They all target the same character. Unless that character dies or leaves the room, then the rest of the intruders just keep going down the menu to the next character in turn order. When larvae attack you, they don't draw an attack card. Instead, you'll do these 2 things. First, you'll draw a contamination card and put it straight into your discard pile. Then, the larva climbs on to your character board. Congratulations, you're now infected. You already have a larva on board? Then you just discard the extra one. Some action cards or items may let you prevent an intruder attack entirely. If you pull that off, don't draw an attack card, just dodge the whole mess and pretend it never happened. Other effects let you repel an intruder, basically forcing them away from you. If the intruder is in the same room as the source, the player triggering the effect chooses which adjacent corridor it moves into. If the intruder is farther away, it moves to the next location with the lowest ID number. A few things to keep in mind when repelling. If it tries to move into an unexplored corridor off to the edge of the map, it just doesn't. The intruder stays put. If a door blocks the way, the intruder destroys it and then stays put. If an intruder ends up in a room with other characters, it immediately attacks the first one in turn order. Intruder attacks may also cause serious wounds. These are long-term injuries. They reduce your current max health. Your health marker can't move into a space covered by a serious wound. These can only be healed using specific items or rooms. When you gain a serious wound, draw one randomly from the serious wound deck. Place it on the leftmost healthy section of your character board. If your health marker is in that section, move it to the next open space, even if that means discarding armor to make room. You can have duplicates, but the effects do not stack. You can discard serious wounds with certain effects, like items or room actions. If you have more than one, you choose which to remove. After that, slide any remaining wounds left to fill the gap. Discarding a serious wound does not move your health marker. So yeah, between burning and biting, the intruder phase is when things heat up and get painfully personal. Oh, but we're not done. The event phase is next. In this phase, start by drawing one event card. Now you'll go through each part of the event card, resolving it in this order. If something can't be done, like placing a malfunction marker in a room that already has one, just skip that part and move on. Intruders, described by the card, will move towards the closest character. Sometimes it's based on corridor orientation instead, so intruders in specific corridors would move. Either way, someone's getting some very unwanted company. Now, let's talk about intruder movement, because these creatures aren't just standing around waiting for you, they're actively coming for you with enthusiasm. Intruders always move towards the closest characters, using the shortest route possible, even if that path includes a closed door. However, if they run into a closed door along the way, they don't pass through it. Instead, they smash it to pieces and stop right there. So yes, doors slow them down, but not for long. Intruders move between rooms and corridors, one step at a time. If they're in a corridor, they move into an adjacent room. And if they're in a room, they move into an adjacent corridor. Now, if multiple intruders are in a corridor and they move into a room with a character, only the largest intruder enters. And yes, if an intruder enters a room with a character, it attacks. Unless you've got a secure token or another effect to prevent it, you're getting hit. Also, once an intruder is in combat, it stays there. No backing out. They don't retreat. They're all in until you're all out. If there are multiple possible targets, intruders follow this logic. They'll go for the closest character. If there's a tie, they pick the one who triggered the effect. Still tied, they go for whoever's first in turn order. If multiple paths to the closest character are the same length, intruders choose the one that starts with the corridor or room with the lowest ID number. If the chosen corridor is already full and there's another route of equal length, they'll take the alternate path. If no alternate route exists, as many intruders as possible will move to the crowded corridor, prioritizing larger ones first. The rest stay put, because even aliens know when to wait their turn. After the intruders move, you'll then resolve the event's main effect on the card. And finally, you'll resolve the event's secondary effect on the card. Once all the effects are resolved, you'll discard the card. And don't forget, any effects that mention characters happen in turn order. And anything involving noise markers resolves from the top left of the board and goes row by row. The next step in the event phase is bag development. The intruder bag represents the unseen threats still lurking in the facility. In this stage, their numbers start to shift, and not in your favor. You'll start by drawing one token from the bag. You'll check the front. You can ignore the back number on the back for this step. Then, resolve the effect based on the token type using the Intruder help sheet and discard that token to the bottom of its matching pile. Now, important note, tokens always go from the pile into the bag and when discarded back into their piles. It's a horrifying little ecosystem. Now, depending on what you draw, you'll be adding more tokens to the bag. If you draw a queen token and she's already on the board, she activates. If she's in a room with the character, she attacks. Otherwise, she moves once towards the nearest character, following the standard targeting rules. She'll go from the closest character, and then if tied, she'll go for the one who triggered the movement. And if still tied, she goes for the one who is first in turn order. If she's not on the board, you'll just add 2 larvae to the bag. If you draw a drone or an adult token, you'll add 2 queen tokens to the bag. And if you draw a larva token, you'll add 2 random drone tokens to the bag. And if you draw a blank token, add 2 random adult tokens to the bag and put the blank token right back in. With the event phase wrapped up and whatever fresh disaster it brought, it's time for the cleanup phase. This is where we reset and reload for the next round of survival. Start by passing the star player token clockwise to the next player. Then each player draws cards till they have 5 in their hand. If your action deck is empty, no problem. Just reshuffle the discard pile to form a new deck and keep drawing. Now you'll move the round marker forward by 1 space. If it lands on a space with another token, you'll resolve that token immediately. If it lands on the same space as the auto destruction token, boom, game over. Everyone's still in the facility, even those snoozing in hibernation, gone. The intruders, toast. The rooms, vaporized. The facility, unfortunately, has a built-in self-destruction protocol. If the procedure is ever activated, the auto-destruction token should be placed 5 spaces ahead of the current round marker. That leaves 4 rounds until the whole place goes. If there aren't 5 spaces left, then place the token behind the last space on the round tracker. The facility blows sky high at the end of the game. To stop the countdown, you need to stop all power from the reactor room. So yeah, good luck with that. If the round marker reaches a space with the lander token, or vice versa, the lander attempts to arrive. Sounds like salvation, but we're not rolling out the red carpet just yet. Before the lander can touch down, you need to check the anti-aircraft system. Because surprise, this facility is also armed with missiles that might shoot down your ride home. Remember at the beginning of the game, those 2 anti-aircraft tokens that they were placed face down here on section B? Yeah, well, the top token is the one that matters. It determines if the lander makes it in one piece or becomes fireworks. At first, no one knows whether the system is active or not. If you want to find out, you'll have to visit the Life Support Control B room and take a use the room action. Then you can secretly peek at the tokens. You can even swap them around if you want. But here's the kicker. You can lie about what you saw, you just can't show them what you saw. So when the round marker and the lander token meet, you're gonna flip the top anti-aircraft token. If it's active, the lander is destroyed. The anti-aircraft system only deals with the lander. It doesn't affect the escape shuttle at all. If it says inactive, well, congrats, the lander lands safely. Place the lander token in the landing zone room and remove both anti-aircraft tokens from the game. The escape route is now open. Once the lander is in the landing zone room, any character can board it by performing the landing zone room action. When you discard 2 action cards while in the landing zone room, you'll perform a noise roll as per the room effect. If your roll places an intruder in the same room, your action to board the lander and hopefully escape to freedom fails, and you stay put. But if after you roll the dice and no intruders show up, success. You'll move your character model to the anti-aircraft slot, and this signifies that you're on the lander. And while you're on board, your turn is skipped, but you do not pass. When all others in the game pass, you automatically pass. and you're safe from fire, oxygen loss, and pretty much everything else, except for facility destruction. That still wipes you out. You cannot willingly leave the lander. You also participate in the cleanup phase. You'll draw action cards and might even get the starting player token. If an intruder enters the landing zone, you're booted out. No refund, you'll just rejoin the game on your next turn. And at the start of any event phase, any one character inside the lander can choose to launch it. This isn't a team vote, just one nervous survivor pressing the eject button. If that happens, remove the lander token from the game and place the character who were inside the lander on their character boards. They've escaped and are now out of the game. Well, until the end game check. After resolving any tokens you might have landed on with the round marker, the cleanup phase has ended. You'll dive into a brand new round, starting fresh with the player phase. You'll continue each round performing the player phase, intruder phase, event phase, and cleanup phase until the game ends in one of two ways. Either the game reaches the end of round 14 and anyone still in the facility and not hibernating is considered toast. But hold the victory dance. We still have a few end game checks before we can crown the victors. For every character who made it out alive, whether by escape pod or a peaceful nap in hibernation, must perform the following procedures in this order. First, if you don't have any larvae on your character board, draw all your cards, okay? The whole deck and the discard pile. And you're gonna get ready to perform the infection procedure. We're gonna make sure nothing is hatched unexpectedly. The infection procedure always takes place at the end of the game, but it can also show up mid-mission, like when you play the rest action card. Here's how it works. You're gonna scan each of your contamination cards. If any of them say infected, congratulations, you're hosting a larva now, and you'll place it on your character board. If you don't see the word infected on any of your cards, then you're safe. Now, all characters who currently have a larva on their board will resolve this by using the Exclusion Procedure. This step includes players who recently became infected in the previous infection procedure. The Exclusion Procedure is typically done at the end of the game, but certain effects might trigger it during gameplay as well. First, you'll draw a contamination card. Then, you're gonna reshuffle your entire action deck and you draw 4 cards. Don't scan them. Instead, you're just gonna check if any of them are contamination cards. If none are contamination cards, your character survives and you discard the hand. But if one of those cards is the contamination card, the larva hatches and you die. If this happens during the game, an adult intruder immediately spawns in your room, which could result in an intruder attack against another character and might be in the room. If you're still breathing after all of that, you'll reveal and check your objective card. If you haven't picked your objective card yet, you can do so now. Then reveal it along with everyone else. And finally, for all those who've made it out alive and completed their objectives, congrats! You all win, whether you escaped in style or barely crawled out gasping. A win is a win. And that's how you play Nemesis Retaliation. I'm Salomé Martinez, and I really appreciate you braving the dark, oxygen-deprived halls with me today. And I hope you get to escape in one piece and outwit those intruders at your table. Until our next Friday How to Play, remember to learn, play games, and always have fun. Adios. What was that?
Hey everybody, thanks for watching another video from the Dice Tower. Hey, you want to learn more about us, communicate with us? We have a Facebook group, we have a Discord channel, lots of different ways to get involved with the Dice Tower. And you can find that in our Linktree link below. So just click that, it will take you, and you can communicate with us on Facebook, join our Facebook groups. There's lots of cool things that you can find and become part of the Dice Tower. Thanks so much for watching. I'm Tom Vasel.